we are going to do the first chapter of class 8th history book, and the title of the chapter is How, When and Where. Dear students, in this chapter we are going to discuss about the importance of dates in the history, importance of periodization, importance of keeping records, and how these records can be utilized properly to understand the past. So let us begin with your first topic. How important are the dates? Dear students, I want to tell you that there was a time when historians thought that history is nothing without dates. Means dates are the most important thing in history, and there used to be debates about the correct dates of the events. And history was considered another name of dates. History and dates were synonyms of each other. And because of this reason, many people thought that history was a very boring subject. But in reality, it is not so. History is about changes that took place in the society. History is about how these changes occurred in the society. And if you start asking questions about your surroundings, then history becomes very easy to understand. We should not take things for granted as they are. We should ask questions about our surroundings. For example, when you are traveling by a train, you never ask a question how people traveled in the past when there were no trains. If you ask this question, answer to this question will take you in the past and you will understand the process of introduction of railways. When you are reading a newspaper, you never ask a question how people used to get the information about the happenings around the world before the invention of newspaper. So, you should keep asking questions, be aware about your surroundings, and then you will be able to understand history in an effective manner. Here, same one picture is given on the same page. In this picture, Brahmanas are offering Shastras to Britannia. Shastras are the religious books of Hindus. Britannia is another name for Britain. Like India is shown sometimes in form of a woman who is known as Bharat Mata. Similarly, Britain is shown as Britannia, the lady standing in the picture. So Brahmanas are offering their Shastras to her. It means they want to show that Britain will protect their faith and religion. On the same page, little bit mention about James Rennell also was given. James Rennell was the person responsible for preparing the first map of India. This map was not absolutely correct, but it was a near correct map, and it was very important because this was done for the first time. For this task, James Rennell was appointed by Robert Clive, and James Rennell himself was of the view that it is very important to make map of the country if you want to dominate this country. Further, some events in the history are as such which cannot be fixed in a particular date. Here also, that if we fix some events in the dates, then it will become wrong and it will be considered injustice with the history. For example, if you ask a question, when did people of India begin to drink tea for the first time? You cannot find any date for this answer. You cannot find any date to know when the British rule in India was completely established. Complete establishment cannot be defined in a date. So that also will be wrong if you fix it in a particular date. Another, if you ask when did national movement begin in India, you cannot tell it in a date because national movement first started in the minds of the people in form of feelings of nationalism. Then they started thinking to get freedom. Then they started taking action. So you cannot fix this beginning of national movement in a particular date. Similarly, you cannot fix any date for the economy and the society and some changes which has taken place in economy and society of a country, because these economic and social changes are very slow and they take sometimes hundreds of the years. So you cannot fix these changes in a particular day, such as you cannot say that on 16th January this thing happened, on 16th January this social change took place. That will be completely wrong method to understand the history. Further here on the same page, this advertisement is given of Lipton tea. Like present day, you have so many types of teas like Babita tea, Malani tea, Brook Bond label, etc. Here in this advertisement, they are trying to show how this Lipton tea was associated with the royalty. Like in the background, palace is shown, means royal people drink this tea. Here on the horse also, he is Prince of Britain. So with this help, with the help of this picture, they are trying to show that Lipton tea is used by the royal people, so that other people also will get a taste to drink this tea, and they will be able to get benefit in trade, which is associated with Lipton tea. So, if we cannot fix some of the events in the history in a particular date, what is the need? Why do we associate history with the dates? Why do we link history with the dates? And answer to this question is that because there was a time once when history was a description of battles, big events, rulers, their lives, their policies, their coronation, marriage, death, and birth. And these things can be fixed in a date. For example, if you ask when was the Battle of Panipat fought, you can tell the date and year. If you ask when did Britishers arrive in India, for that also you can tell a date. When was the ruler born, that also you can write in a date. When did the ruler announce this particular policy, for that also you can use a date. When was the king crowned for the first time, that is called coronation. When was, for the first time he was announced that you are going to be the next king, then he would sit on the throne and he would be offered this crown. So this process is known as coronation. So for this also you can fix a date. For marriage also you can fix a date, that marriage took place on 13th January. He died on 15th of February, and when his son was born, who became the next king. So such things easily you can fix in a date. And even till dates, there are debates about the correct date of these events. For example, Alexander the Great, he came to India, as per some historians, he came to India in 1523 BC. Another historian says he came to India in 1526 BC. So there is always a debate about this issue. Some say that he came only in India in 1526, so but others say that he was no more up to 1526 BC. How he can come to India? So there used to be a debate. Until date, these debates are going on, and these are to some extent genuine debates, because they will come up with their points. In 1523 BC, it is mentioned in a book in a particular country that he passed from their country moving towards India, and also they will be talking about these evidences in the favor, and this will lead to the debate. Now here I want to tell you that for last few years the perception of the historians has changed, and now they think history has no more association with the dates as it used to have in the past. Now history is about how people earned their livelihood in the past, what kind of things people in the past produced, what they ate, how cities developed, how markets came up, how kingdoms were formed, and how ideas spread from one part to another part of a country, and how cultures and societies changed over a long period of time. Nowadays, such issues are discussed in history, and it is really a fact, because I have been teaching class 12th also. In class 12th, there are so many lengthy chapters, but very few dates are mentioned, and generally such topics are discussed about markets, first cities during British rule, cities during Mughal period, and all that. So that is now I want to tell you, it is true that dates are not so important in the history. You need to understand history. Now the question rises, if a few dates are mentioned in any of the chapters, which dates can be important? Which dates we can mention when we want to understand history, when we want to write a history of any period? Here, dear students, I want to tell you that if you are focusing on a particular set of events, then you will find certain dates are important. But if you change your focus, then it will lead you to find out some new dates that these are important. Example, here I want to give you about British historians. When British historians wrote history of British India, they would focus on the governor generals. First Governor General was Warren Hastings, and the last was Lord Mountbatten. This word Viceroy you should understand. Basically, Viceroy was the word used for Governor General only. In 1857, when there was a big revolt in India, after this post of Governor General was changed to Viceroy. That's it. This name is different. Otherwise, post is same. So if you focus on the time span, like 5 years were given to each of the governor generals, and sometimes it could be repeated, so it will become 10. So you will find when did first governor general of India come to India, that will be one date. What policy was made by him, that will be another date important. When did he leave India, that also will be one date. So if you are talking about next governor general of India and his lifetime, then another dates will become important. But if you want to write the history changing your focus from governor generals to the common man, and you want to write history of the same period, then you can focus. Suppose you are focusing on the different groups living in the society, what kind of rituals they used to perform, how they would perform marriage, how they would perform the last rites of a person after the death. Like Muslims, they bury their dead body in the ground, and Hindus, they burn the dead body. So they have different kind of these systems. So we can focus on these, and we can focus on their activities, we can focus on the lives of the people, what occupations they had, what were their expectations from the government. And when we write history of the same period when governor generals were there, but we have changed our focus on these things, then a new set of dates will become important. So this way, if we change our focus from one event to another, then another set of dates will appear in front of you as important. Okay, let us move to next topic, that is why do we periodize history? First of all, you should know what is the meaning of periodize. Dear students, periodize means to divide into different periods. Periodize means basically division. In division, history can be divided into different parts. Like if you talk to your parents and you want to know about their life properly, then you will divide their life into different parts. When they used to go to school, then college, then after marriage, getting jobs. So there can be different phases. Similarly, history also can be divided into different phases. That is known as periodization of history. So, what is the need? Why do we need to periodize history? Because if you want to know about the characteristics of a time, then you need to give it a name. When you want to know the central features of a period, then also we need to periodize it. If you want to demarcate the differences between periods, then also periodization becomes necessary. And if you want to reflect your own ideas about the past, then also you need to divide history into different parts. And if you want to see the changes from one period to another, then also you need to divide history into different parts. Okay, let us begin with James Mill. Now, periodization of history. James Mill was a Scottish, means he belonged to country Scotland, and by profession he was economist and political philosopher. He had written one book, and the name of the book was A History of India. And in this book, he divided Indian history, he periodized Indian history into three phases. One is Hindu history, one is Muslim history, another is British. Means very ancient history of India. He said this is Hindu history. Ancient one. He said that term used for it should be Hindu. Then for the middle period, he said it that this is Muslim period, and the Britishers when they came and started ruling, he said this is the third phase of Indian history. Do you think this periodization is correct? Let us discuss. Dear students, as per him, ancient history of India can be considered as Hindu history. But I want to tell you, if you want to give a term to history of a particular period, then you that name and the title should tell you about the rulers as well as population and everything in that region. But James Mill thought that Hindus were ruling at that time, so this history can be called Hindu history. But he forgot that population was of different types. If you consider it population wise, then the different type of population was living in ancient India. Some Buddhist people were there, some Jain people also were there, and in some here in these regions, even Muslims were living near Kerala and this region. So a Hindu history term used by James Mill is not correct. Let us talk about his another term that he said second period is Muslim period. That is absolutely wrong because here rulers were of different religions. All the rulers were not Muslims. Suppose in North India, in these regions, Muslims were ruling maybe up to this, but in Rajasthan, so many Rajput rulers were there. In South India, there was one Vijayanagar Empire, which was completely a Hindu kingdom. So, how can you say that this was a Muslim period? So, itself is wrong. Even population at that time, some were Hindus, Muslims, Christians, even you can find some Jews even living in India. Jaini people and Buddhist also were living at that time. So, Muslim history also is a wrong term. Let us come to the third period. He said third period is called British history. This is also wrong absolutely because at the time of Britishers all the population was not British, all the rulers were not British. In different parts of India there were different rulers, somewhere Nizams of Hyderabad, somewhere some Rajput princely states, some states were here in Gujarat as well. So some tribal people were ruling in these areas. So British history is also not the correct term for this time period. So we can say whatever James Mill tried to periodize Indian history, that is not correct. That is faulty division of Indian history. Okay, let us discuss about other views of James Mill about Indian society as well as Asian societies. James Mill was of the view that Central Asian societies and Indian society was not so developed and it was of a lower level. That this civilization is of a lower level means they are like savages, they are uncivilized people. He was of the view that Hindu and Muslim rulers ruled India before the arrival of the Britishers and they were despots. Here, despot mean a ruler who will not listen to anybody. In Hindi, you can call him Tana Shah. So, as per James Mill, rulers of Hindus and Muslims, they were despots. And he was of the view that society had religious intolerance, means in the society Hindus and Muslims were fighting with each other. That is absolutely wrong. Hindus and Muslims were not fighting with each other. They started to fight after the arrival of the Britishers. Next, he thought that Indian society has so many caste taboos. This can be correct because caste taboos means like upper caste is there, lower caste is there. Upper caste people keep exploiting lower caste. They don't talk to them. They don't mix up with them. So these are caste taboos, and these were there in the Indian society. So this point is correct. Then he said Indian society is full of superstitions. Superstitions means blind belief. So this also can be correct because at that time really some blind beliefs were prevalent in the society. So that also can be correct. Then further, James Mill thought that Indian society can be civilized by the British. How they can civilize? If they will introduce British manners in India, means if they will teach them to behave like Europeans, then they can be civilized. If they can teach them to wear clothes like the Europeans, to speak languages like Europeans, then these people will be civilized. If you can organize, if you can arrange institutions in India like Europe, then also they can be civilized. You can introduce European art and laws in India, so it will civilize Indians completely. Another funny view of James Mill was that he thought that British should conquer whole India, control whole India for the happiness of Indians. That no one can understand how Indians will be happy under their rule. That is very funny statement. And he thought that British rule means progress and civilization. Means if in India we can establish British rule, we will make India progress and people will be civilized. Another division of Indian history was done by some different historians, and that is called ancient history, medieval history, and modern history. Is this correct periodization? Let us discuss. No, it is also not correct periodization. Ancient, its first problem is that this is borrowed from the West, means it is not Indian pattern. Totally, they have just borrowed these terms from the West, which don't suit to Indian atmosphere. Another thing, if we talk about their correction, ancient history can be correct because ancient history means history of very old times, so that can be correct. Medieval also can be correct because medieval means middle period, because this period was in the middle of modern and ancient, so middle period can also be correct. But modern period has problem. When we say this period is modern, it means in that period science is there, logic is there, democracy is there, liberty, liberty means freedom, freedom is there, equality is there. So British period, as per these historians, British period was considered a modern period. So you think it was really modern? There was no reason, there was no democracy, there was no liberty, freedom, there was no equality. So British rule term is wrong. Maybe these two are correct, but this modern doesn't suit to Indian atmosphere. That's why this division is also not absolutely correct. Another thing, dear students, I want to request all of you that you should do this activity at your home. This is very interesting activity. In that activity you will interview your mother or father or grandmother or grandfather. You will ask about their life, and then you also will divide their life into different periods like school going period, then college going, job, or if they are living in this city, so many years they must have lived in some other city. So on that basis also you can divide their life. So you will do this activity, note down in the notebook, and you can show this to me in the class. And I'm telling you that when you are going to do this division and you are going to talk to your parents about their life, you will meet two wonderful personalities in your family which earlier you must not be aware of. So do it sincerely. Next, in your book, this colonial word is given. I want to explain this word. Colonial word has come from colony, and colony is a country which is controlled by another. For example, India was a colony of British East India Company. India was a colony of Britain. We can say that. So anything which is associated with colony is called colonial. You should not forget that. Colonial word can be used like tell me names of three colonial powers of Europe. So then you can tell one colonial power was England, another colonial power was France, another colonial power was Spain. So this way you can use this colonial word, means associated with colony. Colonization. Colonization is the process of controlling other country for any kind of utilization of its resources, and maybe just for political utilization of that region. Let us discuss about administration. How Britishers used to run the administration of India. For this process, they had divided India into different parts, and they had appointed different officials to govern and different officials to collect the taxes, etc. And for this purpose, they had to make many records. So many records were produced under this process. These official records can give us a lot of information about the policies, the plans, the decisions, and agreement which were done by the Britishers with the Indian rulers. And what was the purpose of making these records? These records were made because they needed them for the debates and studies. Debates were done in the British Parliament, in the Parliament of England. There would be proper debate on that, what policies were made by the British East India Company in India, how they are running the administration, is it correct or it is a wrong method. And even if somebody wants these records for study purposes, then also they can use these records. So the Britishers used to preserve these records, and in making this process smoother, there used to be so many types of documents such as memos, notings, and reports. Memo is the short form of a word called memorandum. Memorandum, basically, it is a type of letter. When you send any letter to any official and they have not taken any action according to your letter, then if you want to again remind that office that I had sent a letter and you have not taken any action, then you will send in form of memorandum. Means these are also official letters. Notings are also official letters found in the official files. If you want to note down something which the officer feels important, so he will note down on a page and keep in the file. So that will become noting. Reports, like different commissions or committees are appointed to inquire into some matter, so they will then make a report, and these reports are also in form of documents which can be found in Indian museums and archives till date. These documents were carefully preserved by the Britishers, and now the question arises, how did British people preserve these records? So the first method to preserve these records was that record rooms were constructed near offices. Office can be of Tehsildar's office, that can be office of Governor General. So near that office, they will make record rooms and keep all the records there. Okay, that was one method of keeping the records, preserving the records. Another method of preserving records was making archives and museums. So there also they would keep the records. Third method of preserving the records was that calligraphists used to copy these records in their beautiful handwriting. Calligraphist is a person who uh, knows how to write in a stylish manner. So these people, they copied these documents. So these are preserved in form of different calligraphic designs. Next way of preserving the records was after the introduction of printing press and spread of printing press, then these documents were copied in multiple copies, and these copies are preserved. Why they produce different copies of the same document? Because when one file goes from one office to another, then to next office, so whatever decision is taken by one office, so they will keep a copy of the document. This office also will keep a copy of the same document. This office also will keep the copy of the same document. So this way there will be so many copies of documents, and these will be like kind of preserving the documents. Let us move ahead here. This is National Archives of India that came into existence in 1920s. This here also till date you can find so many documents. surveys become important. For Britishers, surveys were very important. So here I want to tell you what do you mean by surveys. Survey is a process to know the opinion of people. For example, CBSE has conducted survey during COVID protocol. Those parents who want to send their children to school say yes or no. So parents filled that form. It was also a kind of survey. So survey is a thing which is conducted to know about the opinion of the people. Britishers thought that if you want to control and administer India properly, then you need to conduct many surveys. So they conducted surveys mainly in villages because they wanted to know about the topography. Topography means what kind of land is there. Means there are mountains, plains, or water bodies, or desert, or fertile land, or whatsoever. They wanted to know about the soil and its fertility. They wanted to know about the flora. Flora means plants in that region. Fauna, wildlife. They wanted to know about the wildlife also. They wanted to know about the local histories. They wanted to know about the cropping pattern. Local history means which ruler or that officer of any king was ruling in this area, how he was collecting tax, and how people were happy with him or unhappy. And they wanted even to know about which crops are grown here, and after one crop which next crop they grow. So they wanted to know everything, because if they are able to understand these things, they will be able to impose tax on the people properly, and this will benefit them. In 1872, census also was started. Census means counting population. If you count population, for that you use a term that is census. So it was started by the British in 1872. When they were counting populations, they were asking about the caste of the people, their religion, and their occupation. In occupation, if the person is having some solid kind of occupation or job, etc., they will be able to take more tax from that person. That's why they wanted to know about occupation also. After 1872, this census was conducted in 1881, and after that every 10 years they conducted this survey. So as per this system, now the latest survey will be conducted in 2021. Okay. Other surveys, Britishers used to have so many other types of surveys as well. Botanical surveys, they wanted to know about the plants and their uses. Zoological surveys are associated with the animals found in a particular region. Archaeological surveys are related to monuments, and anthropological surveys are related to evolution of humans. For example, earlier we used to walk on 4 feet, then slowly and slowly we started moving on 2 feet, and then we started becoming modern, we started wearing clothes, and now we are presently this kind of human beings, modern man. So how this process took place, this is studied under anthropology. So anthropological surveys were also conducted by British East India Company. Forest surveys were also conducted, and on that basis they had made forest policy of India. Okay, now the question arises, if they have so many records, these official records are useful for us to know the past, or they do not tell us about all the things. Here I want to tell you, dear students, that these official records, they will tell us only about the thoughts of the British officers. They will only tell what these British officers were interested in. They will tell us about what were the things which the British people wanted to preserve for posterity. Posterity means future generations. Means they will note down the things which they want to preserve for future generations. If they have done something wrong, you think they will make a record of that wrong thing? Not at all. So these official records will not give us complete information about the past. They never tell us about what people of the country think and what was the intention of these Britishers behind their actions. For example, Britishers said that railway was introduced in India for the benefit of Indians, but it was not so. They had introduced railway for trade purpose because they used to take raw material from the interior of the country to the sea coast. For that they needed trains, so they had introduced trains. Another purpose was for suppressing the revolt. If at one place people have revolted, so Britishers, by using the railways, they could send their soldiers to suppress that revolt. So that was the truth of the introduction of the railways. But they say that we did it for the benefit of Indians. This way, whatever is written in the records, that never gives us complete information of the intentions of the British people. So, if you want to know about the real views of the people of India, what you can look into? You can look into the diaries of the people. You can look into the accounts of pilgrims. Pilgrims are the people, those who visit a place for religious purpose. For example, in from China, so many people came to India uh, for knowing about Buddhism, and also they are religious pilgrims. So they also have noted down something about the Indian society. So you can read these books and come to know about people of India. And some travelers also came from different countries to India. They also have written in their books and their accounts that how people of India are living. That also can give us information. Another thing is autobiographies of important personalities. They also can give us a lot of information. You can read popular booklets. Booklet means very small books. You can read newspapers of British India are kept in museums and archives there. So there you can reach out and you can find what is written in these newspapers about the common man of India. So here, if you talk about these documents, they can give us some information about people of India. But here also there are some limitations. The limitations are that these documents were produced by literate people, means well educated people were the people who wrote these books and these records. So we cannot know about what tribal people thought, what peasants of India thought about British policies, what workers who were working in the mines. Mines means khadan. Those who are working in mines, what these people thought, it also cannot be found in these books. And what poor people in the streets of India thought about the Britishers, that also cannot be found in these records. See, the poor people of India. So this way there are certain limitations. So here your chapter ends. Hope you have understood, and I will upload Hindi version of the same chapter, so you can listen to that as well if you want to listen in Hindi language. Thank you. May God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also press the bell icon to get the notifications about my latest videos.